Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 21st June 2023, morning sitting. Annual report and financial statements of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority for the year ended 30th June 2021. Annual report of the National Intelligence Service for the year ended 31st December 2022. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Tinderet, Central Imenti, Moiben, Ainabkoi, Runyenjes, Tharaka, Marakwet East, Marakwet West, Cherangani, Mngwen, Nandi Hills, Manyata, Keses, Igembe Central, Mosop, Chesumei, Tigania East, Chuka Igambangombe, North Imenti, and Keio South. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from Standing Order 40, paragraph 3.
What is your point of order, Leader of Minority?
Madam Speaker, sorry, I was at the table. I wish I was here earlier. Madam Speaker, I'm just rising to raise an issue which perhaps may require the intervention of the substantive speaker. But since you are sitting on the chair, I'm sure you are equal to the task. Yeah. Madam Speaker, yesterday afternoon, it must have come to the attention of members, perhaps some members, of some not so desirable occurrences within the presence and outside the presence of Parliament. I want just to take you, Madam Speaker, to Article 118 of the Constitution. And at Sub-Article 1, Parliament shall conduct its business in an open manner, and its sittings and those of its committees shall be in public. At B, it will also facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and so on and so forth. Now, Sub-Article 2, Parliament may not exclude the public or any media from any sitting unless in exceptional circumstances the relevant speaker has determined that there are justifiable reasons for the exclusion. Madam Speaker, I don't want to go on and on. The point here is that, Madam Speaker, yesterday at around 1:32 p.m., there was unseemly commotion at the gate of Parliament and within the precincts of Parliament along Parliament Road, and I think Ale Selassie or Harambe Avenue. Madam Speaker, to an extent that the police were firing tear gas canisters, whose effect actually permeated the presence of Parliament, including my own office, and affected my own staff and everybody else. Madam Speaker, what I've been briefed is that some members of the public, I think in anticipation of the debate on the finance bill, had come to Parliament, to the presence of Parliament at the gate, to, of course, either show solidarity with the members of Parliament or express their feelings about the bill, Madam Speaker. They are essentially, I think, picketing within the meaning of picketing under Article 37 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, why I'm raising this issue is that we need to set the record straight. I don't think we want, as a Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, to act differently from other parliaments of the world, at least of the civilized world. The world of, Madam Speaker, parliaments are known as public spaces, public utilities, public institutions that the public access at will. This happens even at the Capitol Hill in the US, everywhere. You go to Westminster Bay in the UK, everywhere, including some cities in Africa. Madam Speaker, I want you to make a ruling. A ruling, Madam Speaker, to guide first and foremost the House, but more importantly the police. Because if we allow this precedent that was set yesterday to have its way, we are going to basically be telling Kenyans and the world that this House or this Parliament of the Republic of Kenya wants to isolate itself from the very public it's supposed to be serving. Madam Speaker, what is it what kind of threat was the police or was the public, an armed public, going to pose to the House or anybody else by simply coming close to Parliament and picketing and cheering and even jeering, Madam Speaker? We cannot afford to be seen to be complicit in the gagging of the public when they're expressing their views on issues which they feel are pertinent, Madam Speaker. The public must be allowed to not only access Parliament, but also to picket around it at will. At will. Madam Speaker, I am raising very serious issues, and you know my friend doesn't understand. Yes. He has no capacity to understand what I'm trying to do. Yes. Madam Speaker, we have come a long way as a country. Kenyans went to the trenches. Kenyans went to the trenches to be able to attain the kind of freedoms we have currently under the Constitution. We must jealously guard those freedoms that are enshrined in the Constitution.
Your point of order.
Madam Speaker, thank you.
But he has completed. Have you completed?
Okay, let me conclude.
Yes.
So, Madam Speaker, I simply want to urge you, and let us be tolerant. Let us be tolerant, members. You know, in this House, we have been here with my friend Kimani Ichung'wah and others. Today, you are there shouting to please people in the executive. Tomorrow, you will be here crying. I'm telling you, we have seen it all here. So, Madam Speaker, let us not be seen to be people who are curtailing the freedoms and rights of Kenyans as enshrined in the very, very progressive Bill of Rights in our Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And let me just begin first by agreeing with the Leader of Minority that one, it's good for us to conduct ourselves with some decorum, allow each other to be heard. And as he rightly says, today you may be here celebrating. Next time you'll be on the other side crying, like Opiyo Wandayi is crying today. And only 9 months ago, Madam Speaker, you know Opiyo Wandayi then sitting where John Mbadi is sitting, and he used to also like that corner there, would be cheering as John Mbadi celebrated very major atrocities against us and the Kenyan people. But I don't stand here to celebrate atrocities against anybody. And I don't celebrate any travesties on the justice of the people of Kenya. And Parliament, as Opiyo Wandayi says, is an open place to members of the public. However, Honorable Speaker, we live in a civilized democracy. And in a civilized democracy, like happens all over the world, around parliaments, they are picketing corners. Around the world, parliaments, including the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, members of the public are allowed into the public gallery, and with the Speaker's permission, even to the Speaker's gallery, to be able to watch and follow the proceedings of the House. And in this endeavor to have an open parliament for the welfare of society and a just government of the people, that is why even our debates are televised live by the Parliamentary Broadcast Unit to ensure that Kenyans from wherever they are, even from the comfort of their homes, they can be able to follow debates. But that, Honorable Speaker, doesn't mean that we live in an island. And it's only yesterday or the day before, I think it was on Thursday or yesterday, that the Speaker reminded us about our own safety within the precincts of Parliament and more so within these chambers. And he reminded us about the bombing of parliaments around the world, I think in Beirut, in Lebanon. You remember most recently in Burkina Faso, mobs taking over parliament and burning parliament, the parliament of Burkina Faso. And I say we don't live in an island, Honorable Speaker, because we have seen what those who associate with Opiyo Wandayi, my minority leader, believed to be peaceful protests and peaceful demonstrations. And therefore, if the police in their wisdom feel it is not secure to allow people who purport to be picketers or demonstrators or peaceful demonstrators around and within the precincts of parliament to protect the Honorable Pio Wandai or to protect the Honorable Mwenje or the Honorable Owen Baya, it is within the right of the police to exclude anybody who they feel is a threat to our national security and the security of members of parliament, including the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, our leader of minority, who must at all times be protected because of the many things he needs to be protected against. And that is why the government of Kenya, through the Inspector General of Police, has even provided a number of bodyguards. I think a minimum of 14 bodyguards, the Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, as leader of the minority. Yes, you may not know it, John Buddy. The leader of minority is entitled to 14 bodyguards, guarding even his residences, both in the village, in Nairobi, and elsewhere. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, if the police have opted to ensure the leader of minority and the leader of majority and each and every member of parliament is protected by the police, even our staff working in this house, Honorable Speaker, deserve protection. And therefore, we should not take it that anybody is precluding people from following the proceedings of the house when the police do what they want to do. And I want to speak to those people who are being mobilized to come and attempt, because, Honorable Speaker, I am also in the know, having engaged with a number of intelligence officers around this house. And you know there are enough intelligence officers in, outside, and around this house, Honorable Speaker, that there are people who are being mobilized I hear people asking by who. I don't know what is itching you. I say there are people who are being mobilized to attempt to intimidate members of parliament not to come to and carry out their constitutional mandate yesterday afternoon, today, and tomorrow. And I want to ask the Inspector General of Police, even now, anybody who wants to picket around parliament needs to notify the police where they want to picket, over what. If they can write to the Speaker, I am sure around KICC on the opposite side, I think there is already some space that is now already designated as a picketing corner. And your right to picket and demonstrate ends where mine to carry out my constitutional work as a member of parliament begins. Nobody should attempt to stop any member of parliament from coming to do their work as members of parliament. However you feel about the finance bill or any other business. And you may as well protest in our constituencies. You may protest anywhere else, but do so peaceably or in a peaceful manner and in line with all the provisions of Public Order Act, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I don't want to take that there was any sinister move in excluding people who the police and the Inspector General of Police felt were a threat to the security of members of parliament. Because above anything else, Honorable Speaker, our own safety here, as the Speaker said, the substantive Speaker said yesterday, is paramount. And that's why the Speaker even yesterday was pleading with us, even as we walk in. As I walked in here, I stood there and allowed the Sergeant-at-Arms to carry out a body search on me. I was hoping the Speaker yesterday would name the member who was threatening to strip, because a Sergeant-at-Arms has asked her to be searched. Because members, as the Speaker said yesterday, we must be careful. If we lose any one of us here because of a bombing, or somebody walked in here with a gun. I remember in the last parliament, there was an incident where a member was seated behind me here and was said to have carried a gun. So the things that we are talking about, Honorable Speaker, are not things in the air. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you need to protect the Honorable Babu Owino. Babu Owino has never carried a gun into the chamber. Babu Owino has only carried guns elsewhere. Therefore, you need to make sure that Babu Owino does not walk in here with a gun. Or indeed Kimani Ichung'wah doesn't walk in here with a gun. Or anything else, even a grenade, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I would beg that we do allow our security agencies to secure us, but to tell Kenyans and the world that the Parliament and the National Assembly of Kenya is an open place for people, and Kenyans are free to picket. Kenyans are free to air their views. If anything, I said yesterday, this finance bill is the only finance bill, actually the only bill that we have transacted in the last close to 15 years that has had the most robust public participation. As I came this morning, I was listening to a local FM still called Kamehameha FM. And on that Kamehameha FM, Honorable Speaker, I had some former MCA who was a cleaner in my county. Yeah, he used to be a sweeper and was elected, fortunately, as an MCA, pretending to be a finance expert and saying all manner of fake things on Kamehameha FM. But since we know the Kamehameha FM, the owners are part of the propaganda machinery against the finance bill, we allow them. And I also want to assure the people of Kenya, even as they picket, even as they express their views, as I said during the second reading, a lot of the misinformation, lies, and propaganda, including that on Kamehameha FM, what you are being told is not true. Nobody will die because this finance bill has passed. Nobody will get hurt because this finance bill has been passed by this House. And I want to ask the Honorable Robert Bui also, this afternoon, be ready to vote for those progressive clauses in that bill that you think will be beneficial to the people of Kathiani. Those that you think are not beneficial, I want to ask you to bring amendments and not to play to the gallery. Honorable Speaker, let me end it there because we have very important business ahead of us. And I don't think this was a matter for debate. I just want to respond to my good friend, the Honorable Pio Andai, to assure him that he is secure, he is safe. But as much as you are safe, please do not organize anybody to preclude me from coming to the House, or any member of Kenya Kwanza to be intimidated, or any member of Azimio to be intimidated by those who support this bill from coming to oppose this bill on the floor. Babu Owino should have the freedom to come and oppose this bill on the floor. And I know those who are not in the House, like my friend, the former leader of minority, the Honorable John Buddy, gets very excited because he needs to be seen that he is opposing this bill. Those who never voted for second reading in Azimio need to be seen and to be heard that they are opposing this bill. Because if they are not seen and heard, you have seen the kind of letters they are getting from ODM. And ODM also, as a political party, Honorable Speaker, must stop intimidating its members. They must stop. Members have the freedom of conscience to vote as they want.
No!
I do not want to name you Lydian Gogo.
Member for
ODM must protect its members. Stop intimidating members of Parliament.
Order members.
They must be...
Order members. Order members. Order members. I'll give a response to member for Lugari, Nabwera Nabi. I've given you the mic, member for... Order members.
Thank you.
Order members.
Kaa chini wewe.
Give the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Lugari, your hand was up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to raise two critical things. Number one, Madam Speaker, we have a duty to protect the Constitution and the integrity of this House. The most important thing that Honorable Andai raised is, Madam Speaker, the issue of throwing tear gas into the presence of Parliament when there was no threat at all. That is the issue. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I was out there when police were blocking people. Those people were not armed. In fact, I walked because they had blocked the road. I left my car and walked peacefully up to this place. Madam Speaker, it is not fair. It is not fair for the majority leader to insinuate that Kenyans who are peaceful are always rowdy. It is not fair to the public who have sent us here if they want to participate by picketing, observing, they be blocked by police. Madam Speaker, I want to confirm that all of us want to have a sober debate. But it's also unfair for the majority leader in responding to Wandai to turn it into an ODM Kenya Kwanza issue. That is very, very unfair. We can't allow it.
What's your point of order, Honorable Mbadi?
Madam Speaker, kindly, I want to appeal for sober debate on this matter. Madam Speaker, I think the question before us here is about the rights of Kenyans to picket, the rights of Kenyans to express themselves vis-a-vis what the Leader of Majority has said about the security of members of Parliament. Those are two issues that I think we need to deal with as a House. Whereas I agree that Parliament as an institution must be protected from any harm, any threat, any insecurity. That is also done everywhere in the world. Yes, we don't want to see cases like what happened in Capitol Hill when the supporters of the former President Trump invaded the precincts of that institution. But again, we must allow Kenyans the latitude and freedom to express themselves around the precincts of Parliament peacefully. There is no indication or evidence that those Kenyans who came around the precincts of Parliament yesterday threatened the peace, threatened the security of members of Parliament. If there is that evidence, it needs to be tabled. We need to be tolerant, and as a House, I think it is high time that we created a space. You cannot ask those who want to picket about parliamentary proceedings to go to KICC. It must be around Parliament. And Madam Speaker, we have been very tolerant. In fact, at the gates of Parliament, we have seen Kenyans coming even with pigs and calling us pigs. We never beat anybody. We allowed them to picket. And in fact, Madam Speaker, during my tenure as minority leader, and it is very unfair for majority leader, who is a very good friend of mine, even at personal level, to come to the House and tell Kenyans that when I was minority leader, that I was cheering the tribulations of other members. I think that is unfair to me. I am one member of Parliament. I am one person who power has never gone into his head. I don't allow power to get into my head. And Madam Speaker, for the information of Kimani Ichung'wah, I don't need to prove anything as a member of Parliament for my coalition to know, or my party to know, my level of loyalty and my level of commitment towards the just cause of the people of Kenya. Yes. I have done it previously, I continue to do it, and I will do it up to the time that God has planned that I will be sitting in this House. I don't know when. So my friend, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, lastly, Madam Speaker, allow me, because he mentioned me about 3 times. He's my very good friend. And I want to persuade him again that, you know, when you get power, manage power. I see the majority leader as a gentleman who used to be very polished when he was a chair of the budget committee and when he was my student as a legislator. I have been tutoring him, including his coming to my house, and we were discussing, and I've been telling him how to conduct himself. When he has become majority leader, Madam Speaker, he is completely wasted. He has become arrogant. He even talked to seniors. like
That's-
me and very wrong. So, Madam Speaker, please save us from the
Honorable
majority
member,
leader.
You cannot impute things on the character of others. Honorable members, we have other business to transact. I think the point raised by Honorable, you don't have the mic. Honorable Okello, you do not have the mic. Honorable members, I think the issue that has been raised by Honorable Wandai and also responded to by various members and their views given. As we know, the happenings of yesterday, Honorable Babu Owino, you do not have the mic, you're out of order. You have risen without permission. No, Honorable Babu. No. For you to rise and shout from your chair is in fact disrespectful. Honorable members, like I said, we have already, this matter has been ventilated sufficiently. Everyone has given their views. Unfortunately, I'm unable to make any decision on it now because I do not have the facts. I probably will need to, I don't have the investigation of what transpired yesterday with me, so we'll defer that for communication later from the Speaker's chair. So I think now we will move back for efficiency of Parliament. We need to move back. Yes, I know that. That's why the matter is not properly before the House, and therefore there is no need to debate on it. We shall have opportunity to debate on it later. So right now, let us move back to order number 5. Papers, budget, chairperson, budget committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 21st June 2023. Report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the below bills. 1, the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill, that is the Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, and number 2, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, that is Senate Bill number 16 of 2023. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from Standing Order 43.
Majority Leader.
Order number 8. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House resolves to exempt business appearing as orders number 9, 10, and 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, as I've said, this motion is just a procedural motion to allow debate on 1, consideration of the supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2022-2023. We also have the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, and the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, these motions and bills are sponsored by the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and we need to avail time for their passage of these very important financial bills that have timelines, and that is why in the House Business Committee yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we did agree as the House Business Committee that would exempt business in line with the provision of Standing Order 43 to allow us to be able to transact business this morning and therefore stand down the private members' motions until we finish with the orders at order number 9, 10, and 11. And Honorable Speaker, that does not mean should we be able to finish them in time, because I can see we have slightly less than 3 hours to transact those bills. Honorable Speaker, in case we are able to finish, there are also other motions lined up, but looking at the time, Honorable Speaker, we may not have time for this. Honorable Speaker, even as I call on a seconder to second, if you indulge me, since my good friend, the Honorable John Buddy, alluded to the fact that I could be arrogant, and he knows, and I've been to his house, and he knows what I went to do in his house. And he knows it had no tinge of arrogance, but he knows I am a person who believes in the truth. And at times, people like John Buddy will mistake being told the truth for arrogance. But I have no tinge of arrogance, but I have a penchant for the truth and saying it as it is. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, even I say as it is, I will ask that he bears with me. And it's obvious, at times students become better than the teacher. And it better not be a problem to the teacher when the student became better than the teacher. Honorable Speaker, allow me to ask my good Deputy Whip, the Honorable Naomi Wako, member for Marsabit County, to second.
Madam Speaker, I second. Thank you.
What's your point of order, Honorable Makali? Honorable Makali, why don't I propose the question first, and then you? Honorable Makali, please give your point of order after. It has been seconded. That's what I said, yeah. The honorable member, I requested politely that if you could have a seat, I put the question. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as orders number 9, 10, and 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable members, Honorable Makali, just put what's your point of order?
Yeah,
in the middle of...
You know, Honorable Speaker, with all due respect to honorable members, you must realize that this is a house of rules and procedures, and a point of order is allowed in the standing orders. You cannot deny a member a chance to talk.
What's your point of order? Go ahead with your point
Honorable
of order.
Speaker, yesterday, Honorable Speaker, when the Speaker of this House, the National Assembly, was making a statement before we went for Committee of the Whole House, he did say that if we go by midnight and we'll have not completed the bill on finance bill, this morning we'll be moving a procedural motion to continue the finance bill. The leader of majority of this House is now not moving this House to debate the finance bill. He's moving a procedural bill to bring other bills. When the Speaker of this House did direct that this morning the members will be debating finance bill if we don't complete by midnight. And we are very much aware, Honorable Speaker, that this has not been changed. We have not completed. How I wish that you as the sitting Speaker now, you would have guided the House, because that was the directive from the Speaker before we get to this other business, Honorable Speaker. That's my point of order. Thank you.
Yeah, the Speaker did not make any such ruling. Yes. May we put the question? Is it the mood of the House to put the question? And in any case, honorable members, in any case, the minority leader, the majority leader sit in the House Business Committee, and you actually know what transpired there. Yes. So let's put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order number 9, 10, 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The The ayes have it. Next order. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Consideration of the supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2022-2023.
Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that...
Honorable Chair, Budget, hold on 1 second before you move. Honorable Budget Chair, you may now proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am moving this motion in an amended form, and especially in the schedules, where we are amending slightly an increase of Kenya shillings 189 million at about 1052, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and a reduction of Kenya shillings 189 million at about 1053, State Department for Foreign Affairs, which is basically a rearrangement, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in that amended form, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, that is yesterday, 20th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243. 1. Approves an increment of the total recurrent expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 9,515,817,997 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the schedules. 2. Approves a decrease of a total capital expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 34,977,926,251 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. 3. Approves an overall decrease in the total budget for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 25,462,108,254 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 4, resolves that the schedule forms the basis for the introduction of the supplementary appropriations number 2 bill of 2023. I can see there is a change in the chair from Madam Chair to Madam Speaker to Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, the essence of having this supplementary estimates, that is number 2, Honorable Speaker, number 1, is to be able to tidy up the budget. As we come to the close of financial year, that is on 30th of June, Honorable Speaker, it becomes even more vivid and more clearer on the amount of revenues that we are likely to collect as a country, and therefore it is important to align those revenues with the expenditure. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, because as members are aware, budgets are made based on projections. And budgets are usually proposals. They are never cast on stone, because all the things that you consider the budget on, and especially on the revenue side, are variables, Honorable Speaker. They are not absolutes. And that is why it is always important to align our aspirations with the amount of revenue that you are likely to correct. Honorable Speaker, I first of all want to thank all the members, and especially departmental chairs and their members, who are able to consider these estimates in a record time. Some of them worked over the weekend, Honorable Speaker, and I also want to thank the Budget and Appropriation Committee members who have been working over the weekend up to yesterday, Honorable Speaker, to be able to finalize on the report that we are now debating. Honorable Speaker, the amount of money that is involved in these supplementary estimates too is a net of a reduction of 24 billion Kenya shillings, which, Honorable Speaker, there is a slight increment of around 9 billion Kenya shillings in regards to recurrent, and also, Honorable Speaker, there is a reduction of Kenya shillings 34 billion in regards to development expenditure, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also, in the same report and in the same consideration, we are considering the expenditure which has been expended under Article 223, which is usually the right procedure on especially issues that are emergency in nature and that could not wait for the next budget cycle. However, I want to take this opportunity to laud even our National Treasury and to laud even this administration. Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether I'm clear, I'm hearing whether like there is a echo in the speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to laud the National Treasury and the administration because basically we have seen a gross reduction in regards to the consideration of expenditure already done under 223. There is a bit more decorum now, Honorable Speaker, and we have seen in the consideration of the expenditure under 223, it is all justifiable, Honorable Speaker, because we have departed from where we were before, where Article 223 could be misused, Honorable Speaker, to fund expenditure that is not or cannot be deemed, Honorable Speaker, as fitting to be expended under that article. Honorable Speaker, I first of all want to say something about why the reduction, and especially in capital expenditure and the increment when it comes to recurrent. Honorable Speaker, as we talk about recurrent expenditure as a country, there is some recurrent expenditure that has got capital element in it. And I want to exemplify that. Honorable Speaker, for example, part of the 223 are monies that we have expended in terms of the JSS teachers, Honorable Speaker, and as much as this is a recurrent expenditure, it is capital in nature because it's capitalizing our education sector, and Honorable Speaker, it is going into polishing our labor and into polishing that factor of production, Honorable Speaker, that is the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, therefore, when we see an increment in recurrent expenditure, we are not increasing the recurrent expenditure in the one that is known more for wasteful expenditure, but the one that is actually going into rendering service to the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the reduction when it comes to capital expenditure, I want also to bring forth to these members that you are not reducing any monies from any project per se. What we are just doing is to consider absorption, and especially in regards to development partners funded projects. And as majority of the members know, there is usually a huge challenge when it comes to absorption rate, and especially when it comes to foreign funded projects, and especially because of the processes that are involved in accessing the real money, Honorable Speaker, and therefore the reason for that reduction. Honorable Speaker, there are a few things I want to highlight that we noted in the Budget and Appropriations Committee. As we were considering these estimates, we first of all segregated, because we found it wise to segregate for us to be able to zoom in properly. In terms of the affected votes, we first of all zoomed in into what is, and especially an increment in expenditure, which has an element of A in it. That is appropriations in aid. We also segregated whatever is GOK funded, and especially that which had been allocated GOK financing in the financial year of consideration, which is actually the current financial year that will be lapsing on the 30th of June. We were also able to segregate those projects that are externally funded, Honorable Speaker, for us to be able to make the right decision on each and every vote that was affected. And some of the findings that we saw, Honorable Speaker, will be guiding the policy of this House now and also in the future. Honorable Speaker, some of the findings is that we have seen there is usually a gross underestimation when it comes to budgeting of appropriations in aid. Majority of GOK enterprises and sagas and institutions underestimate, and probably could be deliberate, underestimate their A&A at the point of making the budget, like the one we are considering for 23-24, Honorable Speaker, so that they may have surplus to only request to be given authority to expend as we come to the close of the year. And Honorable Speaker, the budget that we are making, let me talk about it because that is what is rife in our minds. The budget we are making, I don't want to reference to the one that we are making supplementary estimates so that I bring the point to the members. Out of the 3.679 trillion shillings that we anticipate to have as revenue, when we have 202.57 trillion Kenya shillings as ordinary revenue, Honorable Speaker, the third other source of revenue after deficit, Honorable Speaker, is appropriations in aid. Out of that 3.679 trillion, Honorable Speaker, we have budgeted for A&A of 347 billion Kenya shillings. The point I'm trying to drive home is that this is a very far-reaching and a very important revenue stream for government. And A&A, Honorable Speaker, just for the members of the public who are viewing to understand, it is the monies that we pay for when we get some premium government services, Honorable Speaker, and especially that which are not pure public goods, which are expended for free. When you, for example, Honorable Speaker, you are taking a passport, the amount of money you pay to the Immigrations Department, that constitutes A&A. When a student in a public university pays school fees, that is a revenue to a public institution, which is a university, and therefore, Honorable Speaker, that also constitutes A&A. So majority of these public institutions, as we do the main budget, they underestimate, probably, as I said before, deliberately, the amount of money they could be receiving. So that as we progress within the year, the financial year, all that they have to do is to ask the Treasury for the authority to spend this money. Honorable Speaker, we actually wrote in our report that we will be basing the projections of A&A not on what is proposed by the MDAs, but actually on the monies collected as A&A by the last supplementary estimates considered by this House. And Honorable Speaker, when we do that, we'll move closer to the reality in terms of the actual A&A that we collect as government. Honorable Speaker, we were also able to look at GOK funded projects which were being affected. And Honorable Speaker, I want to assure this House that we actually reversed most of that amount, which is GOK, because it was very marginal. Out of the 34 billion shillings under consideration, GOK funded development expenditure that was intended to be cut was actually maybe just around 2 billion, which we were able to reverse. Some of it, Honorable Speaker, were some small water projects. Others are just the kind of community projects that members would have a lot of interest in. And Honorable Speaker, we reversed that most of those decisions because we now think Treasury is more liquid than they were when they actually tabled these supplementary estimates. Honorable Speaker, one thing that we have noted that we must be considering to do, as you look at these supplementary estimates, Honorable Speaker, the reason it actually comes, and the first step to getting a solution is to understand the reality. The reason we usually have supplementary too, not just this year, even in the previous years, is to be able to align the revenue side of government and the expenditure side. Fortunately or unfortunately, this alignment actually portends to cut in expenditure because most of the time we are optimistic in projecting our revenues. And that is why even the entire arithmetic of this supplementary is a cut of 24 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, as the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and I hope also this House, buys into the idea, we need to have very robust revenue-raising measures. And Honorable Speaker, what we did as we move forward in the main budget of 23-24, to avoid these kind of cuts in the future, Honorable Speaker, what we've done is not to enhance tax collection from the same people that pay. What we have done is allocating monies that you'll be able to expand our economy. We net in people who are now not active participants of the economy to become participants of the growth of the economy and therefore consequently become taxpayers. And what we did is this, and I said that as we moved the report, which is for the main budget. But it is important that I repeat because any other supplementary will be affecting 23-24. Honorable Speaker, we looked at the primary production of our economy, and we segregated our economy into three as the Budget and Appropriations Committee. GDP, we looked at it as number one, primary production, which is basically agriculture, mining, fisheries, forestry, and everything else that is primary in nature. Honorable Speaker, there is a paradox. This primary production constitutes 18.2% of our GDP. And I'll say the paradox as I proceed. Then we were able to zoom in at the industry, which is the secondary production, which currently constitutes around 16.8% of our GDP. Honorable Speaker, we also zoomed in into the tertiary production, which is basically service. It actually constitutes 65% of our GDP. The paradox is this. Honorable Speaker, service industry constituting 65% of our GDP does not employ as many people as the primary production, which constitutes only 18.2%. Honorable Speaker, we see that the primary production, which majority of Kenyans are engaged in, especially farmers, constitutes very little because productivity in the primary production is very low. A salary or income or revenue for one person employed in the service industry, that revenue would take like 20 farmers to net the same revenue. And Honorable Speaker, that is why we have done policy decisions and allocation decisions to spur especially the primary production and the secondary production because they are the biggest employers and they have capacity to net in as many Kenyans as possible. That is why we took money to fertilizer in the upcoming budget so that we do not have this kind of shortfalls again, and to net in and to enhance productivity of farmers. That is why, as a government, we are lifting the moratorium as far as mining is concerned, so that mining now starts to become a serious revenue stream for our country. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, we allocated monies even for ground truthing, so that, Honorable Speaker, we can open up our mining sector to become as significant as it should be. Honorable Speaker, we are also lifting the moratorium when it comes to forestry, because forestry is a huge wealth for this country. But as you know, Honorable Speaker, in regards to the economy and GDP, wealth does not count as much as revenue. So we have to find ways of transferring or transforming our wealth to become revenue, because as we do the budget, Honorable Speaker, the revenue side has no slot for wealth. It only has slots for revenue, and that is why it is important to transform our forestry resources to become revenue streams for government. When you come to secondary production, we did that in terms of aggregation centers and in terms of industrial parks, Honorable Speaker, so that this service industry can have something to service, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is something else that we are trying to bridge the gap on, which is the deficit. Honorable Speaker, if the other alternative of not having a supplementary budget to cut on the expenditure is then to expand on the deficit. And I don't think that is a very wise decision to do, and especially at the current circumstances of our economy. But going forward, Honorable Speaker, the same tax revenue measures that I enumerated will go a long way into bridging the gap when it comes to deficit. The deficit that we are budgeting on, Honorable Speaker, the next financial year is around 718 billion. But, Honorable Speaker, in the year of consideration of these supplementary estimates, we are talking about a deficit which was on the books of 860 billion and another 200 billion that had been spent at a 223. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are talking about a deficit of financial year 22-23 of 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, when I see, for example, news, Honorable Speaker, about monies have been monies that have been borrowed, and especially by the current treasury, Honorable Speaker, I want to give in some more facts, so that even as we report on the basis of actuals.
Chairman, you're doing very well, but your time is almost up, so just to.
Honorable Speaker, this country was to borrow 1.1 trillion Kenya shillings in this current financial year. And therefore, when you hear that the Treasury has borrowed, for example, the borrowing that happened last week, these are not monies that are being borrowed by this regime. These are monies that are being borrowed because they were part of the budget that we are implementing. And therefore, we are just fulfilling the revenue side of the budget that we actually got in place when we assumed the positions that we currently occupy. Honorable Speaker, generally speaking, we are just mopping up areas that cannot be able to absorb monies by 30th of June and directing those small monies, which are marginal, to areas that could be able to absorb. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank every member of this House. We always gain from your interactions as the budget. We always gain from your interactions, and even in this kind of debate, we actually come to listen and learn. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I want to request the chairman of all transformers in Kenya, of the energy sector, the petroleum sector, Honorable Engineer Vincent Musyoka Kawaya, to second this motion.
The Honorable Kawaya.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Budget. Those were quite some credentials, and I appreciate. Mr. Speaker, I raised to support this supplementary too. And I want to second. And I want to start by thanking the Budget Committee. I think it has done a great job, especially to accommodate most of us as the chairs who had their budgets for the respective ministries affected by supplementary too, and spending your time to late hours Mr. Speaker, I think most of the times we are really very realistic with our budget projections. And that's why by the end of every financial year, we have to come back on the table and see how to rationalize our budgets. In most of the occasions, you'll find that the projections are overestimated, while on the other end, the A&As that we are projecting from our sagas are actually underestimated. And this is an issue we need to confront, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to set an example. When we looked at the current estimates, barely weeks down the line, when we looked at the printed estimates that were presented to Treasury and the financial statements of our MDAs, you will find that only 2 weeks down the line, they've already changed their estimates for A&A, meaning that in most of the occasions, there is an intention to understate the A&A that is projected to be collected. And that's why you see in most of the supplementary 2 budgets, there is a spending spree by most of the MDAs, and in some of the items that are also very interesting, we'll see most of them wanting to spend these A&As in buying furniture, in buying vehicles, going for workshops, because this money was actually put there specifically, just wait for the late hours of the end of the financial year to be able to spend that money. Mr. Speaker, again, also we've also been facing a huge challenge, especially in the sector of the energy, where absorption becomes a challenge, not necessarily on the exchequer part, but the processes that lead to absorption of also the foreign funding, which, for instance, accounts in the energy sector for almost 80% of our budgets. Then the rigorous procedures and processes delay absorption of our resources. Mr. Speaker, even as we discuss this supplementary budget too, then we can never discuss this in isolation. We also need to have a discussion as a country, which is an honest discussion around budget financing, because for every budget that we have in this house, there has to be a source of resources. And it is very, very interesting when you see our conversations, especially when we are discussing the finance bill. You rarely find any honorable member who is not interested in a discussion that takes project to their respective constituencies, transformers to their respective constituencies. But when it comes to the discussion on how to raise those resources, then we all want sometimes to play to the gallery without undue regard and to how we are really supposed to raise these resources to finance these budgets. It is only fair for us as a country or as leaders to tell the country that there is a reason for the actions that we are taking. We have, I think, failed in telling Kenyans the why and dwelled on the what, especially on the revenue-raising measures, especially the finance bill. We must tell Kenyans that Kenya Kwanza inherited a shell in the name of an economy because our predecessors decided to loot this country, decided to carry money in sacks. They decided to literally borrow everything they could, so that we are left with a huge, huge burden that somehow we can't run away from. And you know, facts are very stubborn, Mr. Speaker. Our revenues that we've been collecting are barely 2.1 trillion as our collections. And when you look at our collections at 2.1 trillion, you look at our debt repayment, at 1.4 trillion. It tells you that if you collect 2.1 trillion and pay your debt at 1.1 trillion, you only have 700 billion, out of which our recurrent expenditure is 600 billion, or at least has been 600 billion. That leaves us with 100 billion. With 100 billion, the county governments are waiting for 376 billion from that 100 billion. It therefore means that even if you give them the 100 billion, you have to borrow some 270-something billion to give the counties. And therefore, as we do this discussion about revenue-raising measures, I ask members, especially from the other side of the political divide, let us kindly not play to the gallery. The easier way not to raise or to expand our tax base in the country would have been summoning and looking for the one, Uhuru Kenyatta and his brother, who put us in this mess, and they would probably tell us where these monies went to. And we can plug that deficit without targeting Kenyans to raise, because we have a responsibility as a country. There is no gain without pain. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we move towards the current estimates, I think there is also something to learn from the current supplementary budget, that we should work closely towards having budgets that are manageable, making realistic estimates in our budgets. Mr. Speaker, the current budget that we have, I think solves is basically a more responsive budget, and without even leaving important items out. And I think it does take a bit of wisdom and creativity to come up with a responsive budget. And I want to support that statement. In the energy sector, for instance, we've been having a budget of, say, 90 billion. And I'll tell you, in the past, the current budget, which is a reduced budget of 65 billion, for instance, seems to be more responsive in terms of how this particular budget, for instance, gets us as Kenyans a better solution in terms of lower cost of power than the previous budgets we had in the past. Where, Mr. Speaker, we have an attempt in this particular budget. I am.
The Honorable Kawai will be heard. The Honorable Kawai will be heard.
Protect me, Mr. Speaker. Eh? I know where the problem is, the looting part, but please bear with me. The problems that we are facing as a country originated from some two brothers. Mr. Speaker, something also to note around this supplementary budget. The Article 223. You know, in the past, this article has been purely misused by most of our government departments. And for issues that most of our maybe MDAs or ministries feel that probably will not easily pass through this parliament as an oversight authority, then they will spend this money through Article 223 and wait for parliament to be able to pass that expenditure through the supplementary budget. And we had an expenditure of, which is right now flagged and the subject of an audit from one of our lines, the Loyangalani-Suswa line, which I want to commend this particular government, because we've seen reduced appetite for expenditure through Article 223. You can't get much benefit from this Article 223 because rarely is it used in good faith. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, we must resist from attempt by some treasury officials to make budget for this particular parliament. We've seen occasions where supplementary one recommendations by the Budget Committee are overturned in the last minute, or there's an attempt to overturn those recommendations by Treasury. I think it is important for this House to stamp authority. We have seen even attempts to reduce allocations to projects affecting members, and even the proposed expenditures for these particular resources would be termed as low priorities. So I urge members to be, especially
He already seconded when he started. Yeah, but you can give him the mic just for the sake of Honorable Mbadi. Give him the mic for a second so that he seconds.
Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I second. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sioka. Honorable members, before I do the needful order, Honorable members, before I do the needful, I wish to recognize the presence of the public gallery this morning of Ongata Royal Academy from Kajiado North constituency in Kajiado, and students from Ndurarua High School from Dagoretti North in Nairobi County. We welcome them to follow the proceedings of the National Assembly this morning and wish them the best in their tour of the city this afternoon. Honorable members, it's now my time to propose the question, and before I do so, I'll just remind you that the motion was moved in an amended form under Standing Order 48, and the amendment affects the schedules, not the motion as moved, and so as you debate, you are accordingly advised. Honorable members, I now therefore propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for the financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 20th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243, approves an increment of total current expenditure for financial year 2022-23 by Kenya shillings 9,515,817,997 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 2, approves a decrease of the total capital expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 34,977,926,251 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 3, approves an overall decrease in the total budget of financial year 2023 by Kenya shillings 25,462,108,254 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 4, resolve that the schedule forms the basis of the introduction of the Supplemental Appropriations number 2, Bill number 2 of 2023. Of course. So this chance will go to members. I'll follow this, unless I'm assuming that those who have, put in the, I mean, this house since we started, there are those who put intervention because they want to talk about that thing in the morning about the protests. So that's why I said I will follow the list as I have it here. They will always do. So if you want to contribute, you tell us, then we proceed. And the first chance goes to the Honorable Gigi Kagombe of Gatundu South if he's in the House. Then that chance then goes to the Honorable Wilberforce Oundo of Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2022-2023. And I must laud the Budget and Appropriation Committee Chair for having taken us to some basic or elementary lecture on economic and macroeconomics. Honorable Speaker, ideally, and I've always stated this and I'll not tire to state the same, supplementary budget is an epitome of laziness in economic planning. pure and no other question. Article 2 to 3 was never in any way meant to cover inefficiencies of the planning department, inefficiencies of the executive. It was generally meant to cover those cases of emergencies and unforeseen circumstances, typical like what happened during the COVID-19 of 2020 and 2021. It baffles everybody, anybody who has attended any economic class, that the government cannot be able at any given time to precisely project the revenue they are likely to get, because the population doesn't change that much, people in the income generation doesn't change that much, cannot change that much. So it behooves that the executives, the technocrats, will be in a better position to clearly and with some element of precision determine the revenues that will come at hand. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the figures that are being reduced, especially on the capital expenditure side, again, it's a clear testimony that the way the system operates, it operates to frustrate the implementation of certain kind of projects. Honorable Speaker, if you listen to PSS, you listen to MDS, you listen to many people, many technocrats who implement projects, will always tell you there is this twin tendency. Number one, where the donor funding and there is counterpart funding, Treasury would deliberately delay the release those of counterpart funding, so they frustrate that project. So that by the time we come to the end of the financial year, we have money that we cannot spend, and Treasury has obviously now to use this unorthodox means to recall or recover that money. Honorable Speaker, secondly, again, it's also another way of corruption. Many MDS and many state departments do not have coherent procurement plan. And in any case, if they have a very clear procurement plan, they're unable to implement those plans because Treasury releases and disbursements are deliberately delayed, so that only funds go to those projects that are earmarked for looting public funds. Honorable Speaker, and we have always argued, and I hope Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, being a new kid on the block, will really get out of this old mindset and really start talking to the guys in National Treasury to understand that members of parliament are getting fed up with these piecemeal changes to the budget every financial year. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the schedule attached, and I've not had the benefit of reading the report in details, when you look at the schedules attached, we are unable to pick out is from which vote head precisely or from which state department has the reduction been made. And this again, any Kenyan getting a hold of this order paper will be unable to know where those particular changes have happened. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to tighten up. And as we have always continuously said, and all in their reports, be it for the supplementary one, be it BPS, the Budget and Appropriation Committee has always called upon for a review.
Dr. Bawundo, I don't intend to interrupt you at all, but the order paper that you have as the schedules, totally.
Chair, Honorable Speaker, true, it has got schedules. And the schedules it has got the vote program, it has got the revised budget estimate for financial year 2022-23. It does not provide the comparative analysis of after supplementary budget one. Honorable Speaker, I've been lucky. I went a bit to school, so I can read and understand, and I know how to compare. I've been lucky. God has been very kind on me. And forever, I'm always gratitude to that. And I went to Sarehe Boys Center and School, not other these second-rate places people go to. Yes, Honorable Speaker, here we are dealing with supplementary budget. We are dealing with supplementary budget coming almost 2 weeks towards the end. Kogulo. Honorable Speaker, it is coming 3 weeks or 2 weeks. In fact, today, 30th is Friday next week. It's coming less than 1 week to the end of the program, the financial year. So the question is, does it mean this 34 billion or so has been just lying somewhere? Does it mean the 9.5 billion that was meant for a recurrent expenditure? What has happened? That explanation is not coming out very clearly. And for many of the members who are first-timers, might not even understand what kind of things we are talking about here. And that's why you'll see many of them probably will not be able to constructively engage in this debate. So, Honorable Speaker, members deserve a little more disclosure. That disclosure will help us specific, because the budget is based on specific projects that we are putting money in Project Y, we are putting money in Project X. Honorable Speaker, we us who sit in Public Accounts Committee are always confronted with huge pending bills that consequently attract penalties, court charges, damages, and those kind of things. And Honorable Speaker, this comes out of this kind of arrangement, Honorable Speaker. We need as a country, we need as a parliament, we need as the executive, and this goes to the Parliamentary Budget Office. We must be bold enough and tell the Budget and Appropriation Committee the truth and nothing else the truth. Because them that are working at the behest of the executive, they are no longer working at the behest of the people of Kenya. And that's why you find we are getting entangled in so many issues, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when an economy is in recession, you need to spend money. That's why this 34 billion, for example, if it was spent on providing electricity, taking electricity projects to the various villages in the country, people will be employed. We will get resources and infrastructure that are enablers for Vision 2030 to get us this economy to a certain level. But now what we do have here, we are reducing expenditure, no plausible explanation has been given, and therefore you will find that somehow, another scandal will erupt from here. I can assure Honorable Speaker and the public that another scandal is coming out of this place. We will have pending bills, Honorable Speaker, penalties will accrue, interest will accrue, the contractor service providers will go to court, and we'll have these matters. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the chairman has mentioned the issue of the structure of the economy. He has said the economy is driven by service sector at 60-something%, and he has said the primary market, primary production only accounts for about 18%. Who is to blame? Who is to blame? In any case, what's the problem in the service sector? If it is of high productivity, why can't we invest and ensure that there are adequate enablers to expand it all so that we get to a certain point? Honorable Speaker, there are countries in this world that essentially depend on business processing services as well as tourism, and they're doing far much better than this, our country, Kenya. Honorable Speaker, we have talked about value addition for donkey years, yet when you look at even the budget we have passed, the amount of funds that have been allocated to manufacturing is less than 2% of the 2-point-something trillion or 3-point-something trillion that is this budget. So all these stories, Honorable Speaker, that are playing to us is simple propaganda that has got no value to the people of Kenya. But for now, because I brought under Article 222.3, let's approve it, but knowing very well this is another scandal in the offing. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We'll get in Public Accounts Committee in the next few years to come. And I'll come and tell you, I told you on this day, Hope Hansard will record correctly what I've said. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Mbadi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by first thanking and praising the Budget and Appropriations Committee for job well done. I want to praise the chair of this committee. I think is coming out as one of the best chairs of the Budget and Appropriations Committee so far. He's detailed in his approach and his moving of the motion is eloquent, and I want to support that. But, Mr. Speaker, having said that, I want to say the following, and I want to request the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to listen to this, that an increase in supplementary budget 2, but let me first start. Actually, this tradition of supplementary budget 2 started around 2016. It never used to be there. It is because of poor planning on the part of the government, as Honorable Oundo has said. But I want to say that an increase of 9 billion in recurrent budget under supplementary 2 is not something to consider lightly as a modest increase. Because we have just a few days to June, I know this money has already been spent under Article 223. And that is why the Honorable Chair, I am proposing an amendment to the PFM Act. And it is already, I think it should come for the first reading soon, to bring out clear procedure of spending under Article 223. Parliaments need to be involved and to be given days to consider requests from the executive. This idea of giving blank check to the executive to spend at will and just seek for post facto approval must just stop. Remember, Mr. Speaker, that Ruaraka land, and I keep on repeating it, the committee rejected that expenditure under Article 223. And it remains that Parliament rejected it. But what happens? The money had been spent, and it is in billions. So, Mr. Speaker, we must have post facto information from the executive to Parliament through a committee of Parliament, through Budget Committee, that this we want to spend under Article 223 on this and this and this, and allow 14 days for Parliament to consider that. Nothing would bring Kenya down in 14 days, really. After 14 days, if Parliament will have not dealt with it, then the executive can go ahead. Again, a decrease of 34 billion, and I wanted also the chair to listen to this. A lot of this expenditure that is being reduced under capital expenditure, you have rightly put, is usually under development partners funded projects. But the problem is usually not the development partners. And Mheshimiwa Oundo will sit with him in Public Accounts Committee. Actually, the problem is the counterpart funding from the GOK. That is what is stopping and blocking all the projects that should change the lives of Kenyans, which are supposed to be funded by donors, some of which are concessionary loans, some of them are even grants. But because the government of Kenya cannot meet their part of commitment, which in a number of cases is not even 10% of the project implementation cost, that needs to be addressed. And you have rightly put it, appropriation in aid. We have been, in fact, when I was in the Budget Committee, we were moving towards insisting that the government tries to remove this idea of appropriation in aid and have most, if not all, revenues collected and to go to the consolidated fund so that it is expended properly. Because the moment you allow this A in A's, the most MDGs will, most agencies will just underdeclare. Because they need more money from the exchequer, they will underdeclare their own source revenue. Mr. Speaker, on borrowing, yes, I agree that the budget we are implementing was actually the last budget of Uhuru regime. That is a fact. But nothing stopped this government from restructuring the budget to suit their interests. If anything, this government came into office in end of August. That was just about 1.5 months after the beginning of the financial year. So you had all the time to restructure this budget to meet or to be in line with the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza government. The idea of you are borrowing because the other regime had planned the borrowing, that does not make sense, Mr. Chairman. You don't have to borrow because someone had planned to borrow, and now you have taken over from him. You must actualize the borrowing. And again, I would want to challenge your figure on what was planned for borrowing. It wasn't 1.1 trillion. I have the figures with me. It was 824 billion. That is what was the budget deficit split into net domestic borrowing of 395.8 billion and a net external borrowing of 428.3 billion. These are not my figures. They are figures which are even with the Parliamentary Budget Office. So, Mr. Speaker, but whatever it is, even if it was 1 trillion, The bottom line is, Mr. Speaker, that you don't have to borrow. You are now the ones in charge. In fact, I want Kenya Kwanza to move away from this rhetoric of we borrowed, we found a tattered economy, we found an economy that has been run down, that people are carrying money in sacks. Really, money, you know, you people are talking like Kenya is a kiosk or a supermarket. How can you tell people that the money that can run the economy of Kenya was carried in sacks? Those sacks could fill the city of Nairobi. So let us not, even if we want to lie to Kenyans, we need to be decent in our lies. We can say, yes, that some people have stolen from our coffers. And that is a fact. Under Uhuru regime, there was theft. Even under Kibaki regime, there was theft. It is the degree that differs. Under Ruto regime, we have started seeing theft. If a road from James Gishuru Road, Mr. Speaker, this road from James Gishuru Road to Olosereni, I have not measured it. It cannot be more than 15 kilometers. The work that should be done on this road is purely recarpeting. You award a contract of 1.9 billion, and then you hear that those are farms that are well connected in the system. There is already theft. We are reading and we are seeing, and we have heard it even before the Nation newspaper brought it out, the issue of oil, edible oil. Even members of parliament here, I cannot mention them, some of them have told you, you know, there's a lot of theft. And it has turned out it is true that Kenya National Trading Corporation is sinking this country to one of the major scandals, and we are watching many, many other things. Under Article 223, which you are saying that the current government is now not using a lot, there is theft going on. And actually, we have ordered for audit of all expenditure under Article 223. I don't want to go further because I am waiting for the report of the Auditor General. I am the chair of Public Accounts Committee. I'm waiting for it to come. But let us stop.
Honorable Mbadi, just take your seat. This point of order.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You know, Honorable Speaker, the distinguished leader, John Mbadi, is actually the chair of the Public Accounts Office Committee. And it behoves on him to bring a report to this House to say what he is saying instead of just speculating on things. And he's a good accountant who knows that before you say things, you should have facts. Facts that have been investigated, facts that have been proven beyond reasonable doubt. So for him to go on a tirade, which is actually a tirade, he is not for facts. I don't know why he wants to sing solo and go on a tirade on things that he has no facts. Be who you are, Honorable Mbadi. You're a man that looks at facts. Stop these things of speculating and bad-mouthing the sensational information like the current newspapers that we have.
Honorable Mbadi is advised
so
accordingly.
I want you to take advice from your junior that you need to concentrate on this motion. If you have anything that you think money has been stolen, please come to this chamber. As chairman, distinguished chair of PAC, table reports and show us, and as Kenya Kwanza, we will heed those reports and ensure that that theft that you're talking about does not take place.
Thank you.
Take my advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Honorable Bayer is a very good student of mine, and I know he has, whatever he says it in good faith, and I want to take it as such. But let me just conclude by saying that as chair of Public Accounts Committee, yes, we are just concluding 2020-2021 financial year, and the report will be here before the end of July. And we are going to start on 21-22 and conclude by October latest, so that we will not have any financial year pending. But again, Mr. Speaker, we cannot stop talking about emerging issues, because the Public Accounts Committee is both a post-mortem audit committee. We are soon going to have, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me just 1 minute, we are soon, immediately we finish with these old accounts, we are soon going to have now special accounts, special audits being conducted, and continuous audit, which then would be. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Thank you so much. I just need to advise us that, you know, we make very good combinations in our contributions. I wish we could follow this with the proper laws and all this, because like 223, all of us are agreed that we need to discipline it. Why don't we discipline it? Yeah, so I think that's important. members, I just want to propose that because there's so much interest, if you could do 5-6 minutes so that we have more people, it will be very good, so that we have more people, contributing. I just had given to this side. I'll give it to this side first before I go this side again. I'm going to have the Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First, let me play from the point of ignorance, because we have been told we come from some schools which are not very well adorned with knowledge, but the fact is the ones who are teaching us on how to apply economics, let me say, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki, the president, he put a lot of emphasis on economic planning. The Jubilee government and Azimio government did away with the Department of Economic Planning as a ministry. And Mr. Speaker, you agree with us that it will be very difficult to project the existence of routers. The Jubilee government and Azimio Brotherhood concentrated more on the aspect of downgrading the proper planning and assumed an authoritarian way of economic planning. Mr. Speaker, our Kenya Kwanza government is very keen on executing its plan, and the first step is to align the resources that are available with the activities that the government want to do. I want to reply to my colleague, professor of the University of Nairobi. It is very difficult to project theft. Mr. Speaker, the infamous sack or carrying sacks of money, it was done up to the day of the Supreme Court ruling. So I want to reply to Mr. John Bandi, we didn't have time to take control of the Treasury until when the president was sworn in. Mr. Speaker, I want to applaud the chairman of Budget and his committee for taking keen interest on realigning the expenditures, even if it is for a short time. The only thing that they should have done is to give us the names of those notorious departments, which are very known to misuse public financing. Mr. Speaker, I know for sure, if you pick from where we stop, the remnants of Azimio and Jubilee, they are still in government and they are still in control of various government ministries. So when they are talking about, is their problem. They are spending a lot of energy shouting and playing to the gallery, but they are not saying they are still part of it, and we are getting rid of them, and we will. I can give you an assurance. I've been in this house slightly better than you. I'm not a cheerleader. We are coming in. Sale people don't recognize cheerleading. Mr. Speaker, the budget has taken time to realign, even if it is 2 weeks, the revenue that they release with the activities the government want to do. And I'm so happy because this part of the supplemental budget is addressing a factor which is dear to us, putting money in an account like CDF, putting money in the stored projects, realigning and addressing the repayment of the debt. Mr. Speaker, there is no other government that, since independent, which has come out clean to say this is wrong and this is what we are doing. And that's what the Budget Committee has done. So, Mr. Speaker, we cannot come here and pray to the gallery. Very unfortunate, because my senior members who chaired last parliament, they are the same government that, they are the same leaders who are demonizing the Kenya Kwanza government. We were here, we know what a member for Funyula was saying, we were here, what minority leader was saying, it is on Assad. Now that we are on this other side, we know what we are doing. We don't need you to criticize us. Just critique, not criticize. we know what Kenya Kwanza government is doing. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is a good direction and directing finances where it is due with a plan. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Pukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me opportunity to contribute to this supplementary budget too. Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I want to thank the chair of the budget, and I want to join Honorable Mbati to say that we have a very efficient and capable chair of the budget, and his leadership actually contributes immensely to the budget process. As a chair of health, I want to thank the budget committee for always giving us opportunities to be able to present our budgets and making sure that whatever we've been able to request is implemented. Mr. Speaker, when you look at this supplementary budget too, this is already expenditure, and what is being done is under Article 223 to regularize that has already been spent. Honorable Undo said that it shows some bit of inefficiency in the government's making budget. It's true. This is not a Kenya Kwanza budget. This was a budget that was done by the previous government. And it was quite inefficient, actually, from your own from your own comments. And it was done under the handshake government, for which you are part of it. Honorable Speaker, what the Kenya Kwanza government has done is to try, through supplementary one, they try to be able to put their priorities correctly and try to align the budget to their Kenya Kwanza manifesto. In this one, the Kenya Kwanza is trying so much to make sure that those commitments that have already been taken care of, those commitments that the government feels that the various ministries or state departments felt that they needed to have been done, money was already either released or the procurement process almost complete or even complete, and therefore they have to regularize through this. And then you look at also some of those budgets that had already been done previously. Some of them, you look at them and you find that they might not be able even to absorb whatever is given in that budget. So you can't, as an efficient government, you should be able to look at where do you need to decrease, where do you need to increase, where do you need to even not fund some of those programs. And I think this, to me, is the way to go. But I would also want that maybe moving forward, supplementary budget too should be able to be given adequate time, because the period of time for the supplementary budget too has been very short. If we could be able to look at the supplementary budget one again in maybe towards the second quarter of the financial year, then supplementary budget two towards the third or fourth quarter, then it gives time for corrections to be made in adequate time. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support. What is the point of order, Chepkonga?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I don't know why Honorable Bukose is protesting my point of order, and he knows that it is a good one. I ordinarily accept his point of information. Should have accepted my point of order. Mr. Speaker, listening to Honorable Bukose and many others who have just spoken, it appears that what we are discussing is purely post-mortem.
Yes.
there's very little that we can change here, Mr. Speaker. So I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 95, seeking your, and you can see the next order, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious one. We have been accused by the Senate most of the time that we don't prioritize their matters. And you see this CARA, the next CARA motion, Mr. Speaker, is extremely very important. I don't know why Honorable Makali Muli is asking for a point of order, and he knows I'm on a point of order. Point of order, I've risen on a point of order, and I know the only reason why Honorable Makali is protesting is
Honorable
motion.
Chepkonga, you shall prosecute a point of order.
Yes.
Without
Without being disturbed. Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know we need to save time so that we can get the money to go to the counties fairly quickly. So I'm calling up Mr.
Honorable
Mr.
Chepkonga,
Speaker.
you are on a point of order, but you are now anticipating debate.
No.
Could you move your motion?
Fine. Can I move the
procedurally?
motion? Can I move the motion? Mr. Speaker, sir, I move the motion that under pursuant to Standing Order 95, that the mover be called upon to reply.
Yes.
Is it the mood of the House that the people have to reply? Okay. I want to propose. I want to propose, members, that the order coming next and the one after next is such that you can still contribute on what you want to say on this without missing your point. So I'll proceed to put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many of that other opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I really thank Honorable Daktari. The next motions are very much related, and we still have appropriations bill to debate on. So, honorable members, I thank you very much for your contributions. I thank Dr. Oudo for the contributions, which was enriching. Also, Honorable Bandi, thank you very much for your contributions. We have learned from them. Some of the issues, just to highlight, some were mentioned.
Member for Rangwe. Member for Rangwe. Member for Rangwe, you're out of order, totally. Don't Bondini, take your seat. Take your seat. Take your seat. Member for Rangwe, you are out of order. Order, member for Rangwe, order. I therefore, I order that member for Rangwe be moved of the House for the rest of the day. Could you proceed with your reply? Those orders shall be carried out forthwith.
I want to request Dr. Nyikar.
You won't go on until the member of Rangwe leaves the House. Sergeant Arms have said that the member of Rangwe leaves the House so that you can proceed with the business of the House today. Chair budget. Chair budget. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I thank all the members who have contributed. We have benefited from those insights. And I just want to highlight just two things. I agree with most of the sentiments that have been said, especially at the A&A, and to enhance it, which we already done that through policy. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I want to repeat again, the deficit for this financial year was actually 860 billion. But upon assuming the positions in the budget committee, we realized 200 billion had already been spent at Article 223. And therefore the real deficit is actually 1.1 trillion, and I hope also Honorable Badi can peruse the books, and that is the reality. Honorable Speaker, also in terms of borrowing, we have already scaled down from those figures to currently the deficit of 718, which is only 4.4% of our GDP, and we will be doing much better even next financial year. Having said all those, I thank all members, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to reply. Do you have the numbers, the clerks? Honorable members, having confirmed that we have the requisite numbers, I therefore then proceed to put the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for the financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 20th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution, and standing orders 243, 1. Approves an increment of the total recurrent expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 9,515,817,997 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 2. Approves a decrease of the total capital expenditure for financial year 2022 and 2023 by Kenya shillings 34,977,926,251 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 3. Approves an overall decrease in the total budget for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 25,462,108,254 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And number 4, resolves that the schedule forms the basis for the introduction of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill number 2 of 2023. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. And will as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order. What is our order on Robaya?
Order number 10, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, second reading.
What is out of order? Honorable Gikaria. Honorable Gikaria, the order is...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Gikaria, if you just will take your seat.
Yes, I'm here, Honorable Speaker.
If you could
This one, Honorable Speaker, this is to kindly request any person who will be sitting in that seat for the rest of the day. Honorable Speaker, sometimes we come here very early. We have committee issues that we want also to prosecute. But you find in the next motion again, the same people who have just spoken and the same people again will be given an opportunity to speak. Honorable Speaker, we have issues that we would also want to prosecute as members of Parliament. And I agree, we are all elected and we represent people. And we want to prosecute their issues. Honorable Speaker, it is important for us that in future allow us also to be given, if you have given Gikaria, next time, because when we come back here again, it will be again Bandi, it will be I don't know who, the same people who have spoken in each and every motion. Honorable Speaker, we are also members of Parliament, and we have been elected to come and represent our people.
Take your seat.
It's not right for us to continue this way. And this government of Kenya Kwanza, we have decided that we can be able...
Take your seat, Honorable Gikaria. In this session, personally, I have not presided until today, and therefore you are out of order completely. If you want to speak, And this, I said, don't fear or favor. If you want to speak, you know what to do. You will come to the House on time. You will queue as usual, and you know it. Honorable Ikari, out of order. You know it. I will not personally pass anybody because somebody came to talk to me. I'll not do that even in the next order. We will have to follow the rules the way they are. The Honorable Bayer.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I would like to employ among us as members. We have the finance bill that starts in the afternoon. But we have two very important bills that have timelines: the county allocation bills and the appropriation bills. This we have to manage between now and 1 o'clock. So I suggest that we reduce the speaking time, Honorable Speaker, to 5 minutes, so that everybody gets an opportunity to speak, so that we are able to manage more people to speak on this, and also at the same time beat the timelines that we have. Honorable Speaker, I request that we do that so that everybody who has come to debate gets an opportunity to debate, so that we don't have this rancorous kind of interaction in the House. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. Honorable Ndindi, take your seat. This is how it's done. You reduce time after we've moved the motion. Just before the debate, anyone who wants to do that, after you move the motion that's going to follow next, then you can move to reduce time. So therefore, proceed to call the mover. This is order number 10, the chairperson of the Budget Committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the county allocation of revenue bill, that is Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, be read for the second time. Honorable Speaker, I will take very little time because I also want other members to get an opportunity to contribute. Number one, Honorable Speaker, this bill is the bill that then horizontally allocates money to our counties. The amount of money that we are giving our counties in the next financial year is Kenya shillings 385 billion. This is an enhancement from last financial year, which was around 370 billion Kenya shillings. And Honorable Speaker, because of the President and the this administration's focus on supporting devolution, over and above the 385 billion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, we have also allocated an additional 72 billion Kenya shillings in conditional grants to our counties. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we have actually been able to allocate enough resources to keep our counties going and also to be participating very well in terms of infrastructure and also development of our communities. Honorable Speaker, some of these monies that we have allocated as conditional grants, which we'll be tabling here later, are monies we have given to all the 47 counties. All the 47 counties, Honorable Speaker, because all of them, including Nairobi, has an element of agriculture. We have allocated the 4.7 billion, that is 100 million for every constituency, as a matching fund, a shilling per shilling, to be able to build aggregation centers across all the 47 counties. Honorable Speaker, also, the monies that you are dealing with horizontally, that is the 385 billion Kenya shillings, or sharing horizontally, Honorable Speaker, it is done through a formula that is generated by CRA, which is actually the institution that we have charged in terms of coming up with formulas or a formula that allocates then monies to our counties. Honorable Speaker, some of the areas that we have put in a lot of weight on, and I hope our counties will be helping our country in that, is in healthcare, because as you know, Honorable Speaker, is that healthcare is devolved. Honorable Speaker, some of the other areas that are devolved are in regards to ECD, and also some other unclassified roads, Honorable Speaker, in terms of community projects of rehabilitating those unclassified roads. Honorable Speaker, what we have noted, and I hope we can progressively find a lasting solution to, is that, Honorable Speaker, our country has a penchant for allocating colossal amounts of money and proportionate amount of money to recurrent. Recurrent expenditure is gobbling most of the monies that we give to our counties. And Honorable Speaker, we feel this cannot be sustainable for a country that is forward-looking in terms of the growth of the economy. And I hope even legislatively we will be able to adhere to the fact that recurrent should not be taking up almost the entire budget that we allocate to our counties. Honorable Speaker, the other area, as I conclude, is the area of own revenue. Honorable Speaker, we still feel as the Budget Committee, and I can feel the air in this House, it is the same sentiments, that our counties have capacity to be able to collect more revenue than they actually do. So that even when we support our counties through equitable share and through conditional grants, our counties will be able to optimize on revenue collection, and especially by deploying technology, and also, Honorable Speaker, by being able to expand their base in terms of collection of revenue, so that, Honorable Speaker, it can be a substantial revenue stream for our counties. Honorable Speaker, we'll keep on supporting devolution because it is very important to us. It is important because when we devolve governance, Honorable Speaker, we devolve decision-making. Therefore, that decision-making that is devolved is able to take care of the farthest areas of our country, Honorable Speaker, and I hope that is what devolution is doing through our governors, and especially also through our MCAs. Honorable Speaker, I'm sure members can peruse also on the schedules, Honorable Speaker, that we have also set the ceilings for our county assemblies and also for the executive in regards to the share that we are allocating, Honorable Speaker, so that we can also have some decorum in allocation of resources and also adhering to a certain amount of ceiling that we must always operate on. That is the same thing we do in the national government, that is the same thing we do in Parliament, and it is the same thing that we have recommended to our county governments. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, just to bring to the members their attention, we can debate this bill, and we are not gagged to do anything including changes. But changes have very, very dire ramifications, because as you can see on the order paper, this is a Senate bill. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, most of what we do is to debate, because it has been much well thought by the Senate, and being also a house in Parliament, we respect their decision-making, but that does not mean also that we cannot make our own decision. But it's good to bring this to members, that these kind of bills are more for debating because they have been thoroughly considered by the Senate. Honorable Speaker, I now request the Honorable who might actually be transiting to managing the same resources that we are allocating to counties, because I'm sure the people of Taita Taveta have been requesting the said Honorable member to be the executive of that county. Honorable Speaker, I want to request him, Honorable Dan Mwashako, to second this bill, this motion.
Honorable Mashako.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity, and thank you, Chair, Budget and Appropriations Committee, for giving me this opportunity to second this important bill, the County Allocation and Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, I want to be brief. One is to say that the bill gives us an opportunity as a country to have our counties receive their allocations, so that in good time, as we start a new financial year, counties have enough, will start getting their money so that they can run their programs. Honorable Speaker, this year, under this bill, we are recommending, or Senate is recommending 385 billion shillings to go to our counties. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, as my chair says, that we may not have so much to do with amending this bill, But in line with the standing orders, this bill comes to this House so that we can debate and we can be able to share with what our senators have been able to do. Honorable Speaker, there is horizontal sharing of resources in this country. We know there has been very elaborate debate around the formula that are used to share this revenue horizontally. After we passed the division of revenue in this House, Honorable Speaker, the county allocation and revenue bill is normally a bill that the Senate sits, and with the advisory of CRA, they're able to share the resources according to the formula, which we know that the third base is recommended that 50% of all the equitable share should be shared equally, and the other 50 then is applied to the formula that takes into consideration the weighted parameters that include population, that include land, poverty, the status of roads, and other things, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, even as we do this, Honorable Speaker, we need to take into account that there are about 5 to 6 counties that receive extremely low allocation, Honorable Speaker. And these counties, Honorable Speaker, if nothing is done in the near future, then the citizens of those counties may never benefit fully, and they may not get the fruits of devolution, Honorable Speaker. I'm talking about counties like Lamu, I'm talking about counties like Laikipia, that receive just slightly above 5 billion. I'm talking about Taita Taveta that receives 5 billion. I'm talking about Tharaka-Nithi and Elgeyo Marakwet, Honorable Speaker. These counties are receiving extremely low allocation under the equitable share. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it should not be lost to this House, Honorable Speaker, that even as we continue supporting devolution, we must find a way to support these counties to the level that they can, be able, they are not left behind and therefore not claim another level of marginalization, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have resources in these counties that needs to be, they're called national resources. Let me give you an example, Honorable Speaker. A county like Taita Taveta, Honorable Speaker, that has 63% of its land is under wildlife, that is KWS. And therefore, only about less than 37% can be put into economic use, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we need to really have a debate around the country that resources that are found in these counties that receive little allocation counties must be given an opportunity to share revenue with the national government. For instance, Honorable Speaker, Savo East and Savo West gives this country approximately about 2-3 billion shillings a year. And yet, Taita Taveta does not even receive 1 shilling of that revenue. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must do everything possible to make sure that every county is able to enjoy the resources that are within their areas, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, we know about pending bills in counties. Honorable Speaker, if nothing is done, then counties that have new leadership, have new governors that have gotten into office, if there is no enforcement of payment of pending bills, then, Honorable Speaker, we are losing contractors, we are losing suppliers. Our SME sector of this country that is extremely important to generate employment and what have you. Honorable Speaker, payment of pending bill, we must find a solution. Senate must find a solution. Control of budget must find a solution that county governments must be forced to, first of all, pay pending bills as a first charge to all the money that is appropriated to counties, Honorable Speaker. Having said this, Honorable Speaker, I also want to say that county assemblies have been given an allocation of around 40 billion, Honorable Speaker. County assemblies are extremely important in oversighting what county government executive does, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must call to order those county executives that do not give county assemblies their enough budget in time, so that then they cripple county assemblies to a level that they cannot oversight the executive. Honorable Speaker, with all these remarks, I want to second and indeed call upon my colleagues to support this bill and pass it without amendment. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, the Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, be read a second time. Honorable Chepkonga. Honorable Wakili Muriu Watanga.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise under Standing Order number 97. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Standing Order number 97 clearly states that the House may, on a motion made by any member in accordance with this Standing Order, impose a limit in the respect of the debate of any particular motion or bill by allowing a limited period of time for such debate, or by limiting the time during which members may speak in such debate, or by imposing such limitation. 2, motion for limitation of debate under this Standing Order may be made without notice. Mr. Speaker, sir, you find that there is quite a number of comments which has been made by the members over here. And Mr. Speaker, sir, most members here left this chamber close to 1 o'clock in the night, last night. They slept for about an hour or two, then they came back at 9 o'clock. I think it's only fair that we give them an opportunity to talk and contribute, especially to this county allocation revenue bill, which is very pertinent, as you know, that devolution in this country is very, very key and touches the core of this nation. And of course, matters of equalization, making sure that this equalization fund, which has not taken effect for the last almost close about 8 years, can be able to be grounded and can be able to benefit our people. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, my request is that the mover of motion moving forward should be granted about minimum 10 minutes. The seconder should be granted 5 minutes. Other members should be given 3 minutes so that everybody can be able to make a contribution in such a way that everybody, because we have only 1 hour before 1 o'clock, at least everybody in this chamber can contribute to those very, very key motions before you, so at least everybody can be able to get that opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Member, for clarity, how many minutes do you want each member to be given?
3 minutes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So, members, this is not a decision for me to make. It's for you to make because you are the ones going to contribute on this debate. So therefore, I put the question. I propose the question that each member contribute on this debate, on this motion, on this bill, shall speak for 4 minutes. I therefore put the question that each member contributing on this bill shall contribute for 4 minutes. Will as many of that opinion say aye, and that of the contrary opinion say nay? So 4 minutes it is, and the first person The person that have the first bite on this from my list is Honorable Julius Ruto. But before he rises on his feet, I wish to recognize 2 schools who are here, the public gallery. There's Tangira Umoja Secondary School from Maragua in Murang'a County. And there's Kalisasi Secondary School from Mwingi Central, Kitui County. The MP is sitting here today. And we welcome them to witness and follow the House this afternoon. Honorable Ruto.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for according me this opportunity to make my contribution to this very important motion before us on the discussion and approving of the KARA bill allocation to county governments. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is good to recognize and appreciate the fact that if there is any good spirit and any good profit that the new constitution of 2010 brought to the Republic of Kenya is devolution. And as we talk now, effective after the promulgation of the new constitution, a lot of changes has been felt by the citizens across the country in an equitable way by virtue of county governments being put in place and executing their mandate. And it has ensured that service delivery has been brought close to people. Everywhere, every region in the corner of Kenya, you will feel that the government of the people is fell on the ground. Now, on these matters of KARA, I want to appreciate that as National Treasury, together being one of the functions in the national government supporting the developed governments, is to ensure that as we approve this particular KARA, to ensure that cash disbursement, because that has been the biggest challenge in executing the work of devolved governments, to ensure that cash disbursement is also adhered to, is also moving together with the CARA. As you approve the CARA, the schedule of cash disbursement also should be made to be a tool that be able to guide the same. On the other side, I want to call upon the practitioners and the actors in devolved governments to also ensure that as we are approving this one, their work plans are put in place to ensure service delivery is given to wananchi. Most of the challenge we are going through, even as at now, are what we call bending bills. And most of these bending bills arises majorly on the aspect of lack of proper preparedness, procurement plans not being put in place, and that at the moment at this time is when they begin now to execute. By virtue of slow disbursement of cash, they begin now to initiate procurement at the late time of the financial year. This means what? It means that at the closure of financial year, a lot of activities or a lot of commitment will have been made, and at this time and point is when we realize even our cash collection, revenue collection, both nationally and local government, we realize that it may have not been sufficient enough to finance the entire budget. So it's also a call on the governors and executive in the county government and county assemblies to ensure that they also put into priority proper plans that they will ensure prudent use of resources, they will ensure service delivery is given on time to wananchi, and also will ensure part of their planning and their budget they have done, they also put in alignment with the goal and objective of the national government, so that we're able to move together as a country. Unlike a scenario, one developed government is focusing on far away different goals, national government is focusing on far different goals, and at the end of the day, we don't have similarity or an objective of bringing the nation to a clear direction. Lastly, is again, we need to focus on the core areas of investment. Say it, agriculture, food security is a problem now in the Republic of Kenya. As we talk now, Kenya, for the first time, has been converted into a consumer country, a net importer of food into the country. This is a call to county government, this is a call to national government, that let us, all of us, put together our minds together. Let's give priority to the desired areas. And the main area is food security and health care, so that as we move the country together, let our productivity support our population by ensuring it affords food to our nation, supporting agriculture, supporting livestock, and supporting the desired health care. Thank you so much. I support the motion.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise also to support this important bill coming from the Senate. And from the onset, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this is good coming from the Senate, and we would want to see our Senate doing much more bills relating to the counties and spending much of their time working on issues relating to the counties. Because we have seen situations where, Honorable Speaker, that our senators take so much time focusing on duties which are for national government and forgetting the counties. So because of the time element, I'll be very brief, Honorable Speaker. As I support this important bill, the following observations. The first one, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the exchequer release. Honorable Speaker, counties are going through hard times because of late release of exchequer. And it doesn't make sense when we have money in the budget and we don't support them in terms of implementation. The second item, Honorable Speaker, is the autonomy of the county assemblies. My plea to the governors is that, Honorable Speaker, that since now the county assemblies don't have the financial autonomy, they facilitate the county assemblies to also do their work. We have heard of situations where county assemblies are at the mercy of the governors in terms of them getting their money to do their work. In that case, it affects the effectiveness, and it is high time the governors become facilitative so that the assemblies do their work as expected in the law. The third item, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of own revenue. Honorable Speaker, it is important that the county governments plan well so that they improve their own revenue. In that case, they will be able to supplement the equitable share from the government and achieve much more for their people. Honorable Speaker, you'll note that some counties, by the time they took over as governors, their own gross domestic product at that local level was even better than it is now, which means with devolution, some counties are becoming worse as compared to where they started. It is time the governors took time and ensured that they are improving the lives of their people. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, it is good to
ensure that also issues relating to corruption, Honorable Speaker, there is this common talk in the streets, Honorable Speaker, that we devolved development, but at the same time we also devolved corruption. It is only the governors and their CECs who can change that perception. So it is high time the governors and their CECs work in a way that the issue of corruption becoming mainstreamed in their operations is actually done away with. And in that case, we'll be getting a lot of benefit from what we have been doing. With those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saving time. The Honorable Nikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First, Mr. Speaker, the Speaker's panel should really facilitate the participation of members of this House. When reports come at night or on a day when nobody has read them, in the morning they're with us, all we are expecting members to do is vote. In this House, that's bad for members from both sides. We cannot train new members that your main role in this House is voting. I leave that. There'll be time for that later on. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this. It is important that the counties get their money as early as possible. That is extremely important in devolution. But Mr. Speaker, I want to raise a very fundamental point, and I'm happy that the chair of the Budget Committee is here, and I wish you would listen to this. The county allocation of revenue bill actually follows the division of revenue bill that we discussed, which actually comes from the budget policy statement. But Mr. Speaker, you know there's always been an issue of what the Senate has passed and what we have passed until they came with this issue of the formula. But I see one basic thing in our devolution that should be addressed if we are going to help the counties get money. And my issue in this has been the budget policy statement in this country is actually just for the national government, and it does not include the county government. Why do I say that? By the time we go through the budget policy statement, the government, the national government MDAs, have given us all their requirements in extreme details, so we know what they need. What we have from the counties, none. That is left on the 50, or not less than the 15%, and the Commission Revenue Allocation, which is supposed to be discussed at IBEC. But even at that point, nobody comes with the needs of the counties. My proposal is this: we should get a process that either at IBEC level or some other level, the counties have also done their needs, so that when we are dividing money into two, we know the needs of the national government in details as we do. We should also know the needs of the county government as we do. The individual county needs can actually be brought together in sectors, in the health sector, in the water sector, in this, so that even if it is not done in this House, at least at the level of IBEC, we know what the counties need. And therefore, we do the division of revenue with that in mind. As of now, it is skewed against the county's government. Mr. Speaker, if I had more, I would explain, but I think that is the only point I want to make. It will be important in improving the division of revenue and eventually the county revenue allocation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kuya, if in the House. Honorable Marianne Kitany.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the revenue allocation bill that is before the House. And I support it on two issues. One is on the revenues that have been given across constituencies, across the counties. The county functions are supposed to be done. And one thing I would encourage CRA, even as we support, is that they ensure that these monies that have been budgeted by the counties ensure that the services that they provide or the services that are in Schedule 4 that they are supposed to provide are actually budgeted for and given adequate funding and adequate resourcing so that those functions can benefit the common mwananchi. Because when the constitution was formed and the two arms of government, that is the county governments and the national government was formed, it was so that the county governments can reach the people at the mashinani. And therefore, some of the functions like the healthcare functions, the water functions, need to be adequately funded because that is where the common mwananchi is able to access their services. And therefore, we need that the counties ensure that those fundings are properly financed. The second issue is on revenue collection by the counties. Currently, we find that the revenue collection from the counties has really gone down. And we look at CRA needs to put in a mechanism like they had in the first and second CRA, that where the counties that were able to contribute more or that were able to collect more revenue were rewarded. I think that mechanism should come back so that that reward mechanism encourages counties to collect more revenue, because the same revenue that they collect goes back to their counties to help them increase on their allocations and thereby give services to the people they represent. So if that mechanism is encouraged to come back, then we know that we shall be able to collect more revenue, just like the way at national government, the national government is busy looking for methods and ways of collecting more revenue. Like, for example, we're just about to pass the finance bill to increase more of our revenue. In the same breath, the counties should also be encouraged to look for ways and means of increasing revenue and rewarded for increase in revenues or increase of their revenues, like the way the national government is doing. So the other issue that we need to encourage counties is that the monies that they receive also should be used prudently, because of we find that most counties have a lot of pending bills. And if those pending bills can be sorted out and budgeted, and the monies they receive is properly budgeted for, and ensure that the services they've budgeted are properly paid for, then we will be able to kill the issue of pending bills. We have many contractors, many suppliers, many business people who have closed businesses because counties have not been able to pay for the services and goods they have consumed. So at this, as this budget is being passed, when counties receive this money, they should actually be able to sort out the pending bills and ensure that in going forward they procure services as and when they require and use the money they have prudently. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Then the honourable member for many members who have put their cards here. Actually, the first 10 on my list, I can't see them in the house. So I will go to the member for Kilgoris.
Mr. Speaker, in supporting this bill, I wish to make 3 points. The first one is part of the reason why there was an increase to the allocation of the counties was because an additional service was given to the counties, and that is the library services. Mr. Speaker, this to me is a big milestone because the development of libraries around the country has not been as robust as it should have been. Many counties do not have a library. And now that the counties have been given money to start these libraries, we hope that they do not go and reallocate this money for other purposes, which are more familiar to them. It is very important that we establish a reading culture for our country, and that these libraries that should be started in the counties should be digital libraries in addition to the traditional libraries. And we hope that this will pave ways for the country to also ensure that museums are eventually devolved so that each county can have its own pride and its own knowledge reserve. It's a very, very encouraging thing, and I hope that our great county of Narok will be able to
first of all, implement this issue of libraries and build a big library, hopefully in Kilgoris. The second point, Mr. Speaker, is that when you devolve matters of agriculture, as it is the situation now, we hope that the counties will pay attention not just to the traditional ways of making of agriculture. In places like Narok now, there is a huge potential for growing of pasture rather than waiting for it to grow in its own, on its own. But once you grow grass for your cows, either hay or boma rods or whatever other grass, the lack of machinery, the machinery to cut the grass once it's ready, the machinery to bale the grass is very, very important. I hope that the budgetary process will allow the governors to do a lot of purchase of machinery for the development of pasture, so that we who are in pastoralist communities can now grow grass and can find it easier to process that grass into pasture, into edible fodder. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I hope that most of the county governments stop this idea of having single line budgets, because I think that does not help them a lot. You find that the budget, the county says we are allocating 1.2 billion for roads, but they don't say which road. Or we are allocating 1.something million for environment, and they don't say exactly what they are going to do. At the end of it, the MCAs cannot oversight, because they will be told on a general note that we have spent this money on that particular line. I think instead of having single line items, budgets should be itemized so that we can be able to see the true fruits of devolution. I support.
Thank you. Minority Whip.
Stand to support the county allocation bill, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say that devolution is what is going to change this country, Mr. Speaker. When the new constitution brought in devolution, that is when we've seen changes in the villages and in small towns that are in the counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are only two funds that go directly to the people of Kenya. It is the monies that we send in form of devolved funds and CDF. Those are the only two monies that Kenyans are sure of that's going to do their work. All the other monies that we appropriate here, Mr. Speaker, nobody can be sure that they will go to what they intended for. They can just disappear in the air, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time that devolved functions have gotten the lowest increment since devolution began in this country. This is the first time, only 10 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. I know times are hard, I know things are difficult, but this is the lowest increment that devolution has ever received in this country, Mr. Speaker. I thought that this time, devolution will get over 50 billion or 100 billion shillings, because I knew that, maybe Kenya Kwanza government will support devolution better than this. Mr. Speaker, 10 billion is just a drop in the ocean. That's very little money. And you know the amount of work that goes on in the counties, Mr. Speaker. That is where majority, 80% of Kenyans live in rural parts of this country, Mr. Speaker. And that is where the rubber meets the road. That is where we need health services. That's where we need educational services. That's where we need maternal services, health services, Mr. Speaker. If we don't take more money to the counties, Mr. Speaker, majority of our population in this country is going to suffer. I know there are issues of accountability. People normally ask when these monies are devolved, are they used for the intended purposes? That's a different question. There are institutions, agencies that are supposed to be in charge and to look after that money, how it is spent. That one, we leave it to them to go and investigate and see whether the money, but we must devolve more money, Mr. Speaker. And I'm saying this because I know that's what Kenyans want. Before devolution, Mr. Speaker, there is no way the county I come from, Migori, will have ever seen 5 or 6 billion shillings. There is no way. Especially when, things go the way they normally go during elections. There is no way they will get 5 billion or 6 billion or 7 billion. The only guarantee they have that they are going to receive 5 or 10 billion shillings is through devolution. If devolution is not there, those people will be getting peanuts for the next 100 years. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this House that I know there is the other bill that is coming for conditional, what used to be called conditional grants, now have been turned into a bill that is extra money. But, Mr. Speaker, let us safeguard devolution. Let us fight for devolution. Devolution is what is going to save our country. Let us make sure, all of us, that devolution works in this country, because that is where the Mama Mboga and all the people we speak about live. That's where they stay. They stay in devolved functions. So, Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support.
Thank you, Member for Manyata.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to support this motion, Honorable Speaker. And while we support this motion, Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that we are very keen to see our counties upping their antes in terms of usage of money. And Honorable Speaker, just a few weeks ago, I was reading in the papers how there is a lot of misuse of petty cash and withdrawal of monies in some counties. That, Honorable Speaker, shows blatant misuse of taxpayers' money. And, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I agree with the member, Honorable Junet, that he says devolution is one of the best things that has happened in this country. But, Honorable Speaker, the precedent set in what we devolved as a nation is also something that is wanting. Up to date, Honorable Speaker, we have counties that have not gotten it right in terms of setting structures of use of money. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, somebody insinuated that while we are devolving funds and devolving resources, we also devolved a lot of corruption, a lot of bureaucracy, and a lot of misuse of public resources. We are now 11 years down the devolution line. And, Honorable Speaker, it is up to our governors and the systems that they set to set up a good structure that can run 20 years to the devolution of this country. The first pioneers governor had a lot of challenges in terms of setting up their structures. But, Honorable Speaker, I would say that now that many counties are experiencing their second governors, it is important to say that it is the right time to ensure we get it right. We devolve structures, efficiency, good use of money, of public resources, so that, Honorable Speaker, we can have our counties serving it right. There is a common saying that even CDF money that we talk about, Honorable Speaker, it is more visible than the counties' things that they do. But, Honorable Speaker, we say that it is still not too late for our counties to get it right. And I would like to support this motion, but at the same time saying clearly that we want to see nice structures, efficiency, good use of public resources.
Honorable Chepkongo, it's out of order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 95. It's not that I'm opposing anything that my very good friend has just spoken. Mr. Speaker, as you know, we have very heavy workload this afternoon. We don't want to lose this Kara bill, Mr. Speaker. We must ensure that we do which is our part. As you know, Mr. Speaker, under Article 96 of the Constitution, the Senate participates in the enaction of laws in this country. We are the ones, Mr. Speaker, who enact laws. So since we are the ones who are responsible for doing so, Mr. Speaker, I think it would be very important that we don't lose this opportunity to ensure that funds are quickly dispersed to the counties. As you know, many of them have just said so. So would I be in order, Mr. Speaker, to call upon the mover to reply in accordance with Standing Order number 97? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It was on a point of order, which we need to make a decision on. And members, you know, on this, I don't have a vote myself. This is a decision to be made by yourselves, that the Honorable Chepkonga has stood on his seat and claimed that the move will be called upon to reply. And that's what I'm going to request you to vote on. Is it the move of the House that the move will be called upon to reply? Could I put the question on that matter? Order, honorable members, order. Members on the walkway, order. The Honorable Batandi, could all of us take our seats? I put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it.
Thank you.
Get a balance of 20 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that we need our resources used right. And I know many members and many, our population is feeling the pinch of the increase of cost of living, is also feeling the pinch of where we are trying to get our taxes instead of loans. But we expect counties, and I call upon the Senate to always be very keen on the usages of our resources that go to counties, so that, Honorable Speaker, we can be of the trusted type. And, Honorable Speaker, so that even our counties can lead from the same page.
You know, members, I've already said that I will follow this. And any situation that one side is, like, since I sat in the morning, I've given this side more than I've given this side, because I'm counting the minutes. And so I don't want that situation that someone thinks that this side is not getting so much time. Since I sat here in the morning, I've given 2 more on this side than I've given this side, because of obvious reasons. So I want us to be fair to all of us in these debates. This chance goes to the member for Bondo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this, given that it's a constitutional mandate at this moment for this House to support this bill, and also understanding that our sister House has done some good work on it. But I wanted to bring 2 also new aspects that maybe the House has not considered at all. Mr. Speaker, sometime in the 11th Parliament, there was an audit. There was a constitutional audit, and I think if the chair of budget will listen to this, there was an audit in terms of auditing where we were as a country, auditing the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to request, if the chair of the budget this time around, I want to believe that that audit was not very timely. The audit was not very timely, and it needed to be at the end of some governments. For example, we are on a 3rd government after the Constitution, and this will be the best time to audit, particularly devolution, Mr. Speaker. There are problems. Countries are suffering. There are those who are doing well. There are those who are doing so badly, and it is bringing in a lot of inequalities in this country, Mr. Speaker. There's a problem generally in terms of disbursement of funds. There's a problem in terms of placement of functions. There's a problem in terms of their own revenue collections. There are problems even in terms of the conditional grants that we place from time to time. And all this needs to be audited afresh, so that we are very sure in terms of how we are moving forward. As of today, Mr. Speaker, the cumulative amount of monies that have gone to counties, if you look at it, is beyond the budget of this year. We are beyond the 3 trillion. If you cumulatively look at the amount of money that has gone to the counties for the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, these things need to be looked at even if you are doing an issue with social audit. The Constitution allows, when there are difficulties in certain counties, when counties cannot perform certain functions properly, the Constitution allows interventions. And I think the government needs to look forward into this, because most of the counties where interventions are required are not coming out for those interventions. And I want to strongly believe there are counties that need to be supported properly such that we get to move this country forward, Mr. Speaker. There are counties that are doing so badly. Mr. Speaker, if you look at in terms of the budget processes, we are strictly following a budget process as a nation, but even as this parliament, look at what goes on in terms of budget cycles in counties. There is a problem. Here we are guided between February and April, and between February and May. There are processes. You are the BPS that runs on from February that guides the processes in terms of the targets, guides in terms of what is supposed to be looked at by every department. But what happens in the counties? Maybe some of these things are missing, and that's exactly why many counties are also missing out. We are saying that local authorities were collecting more revenue than the current county government. Why? This thing needs to be checked in terms of the exact reason why this is happening. So, and beyond that, Mr. Speaker, the targets that we are setting as a government or as a nation, we are talking about food, and I think I talked about this when I was contributing on the budget and appropriations. The problem is, if you look at even the issue of SDGs, how are we supposed to achieve this? 80% of the goals are placed in terms of the functions of the counties, but they don't get the equitable share in terms of resource towards those kind of functions, Mr. Speaker. So an audit is required, and I think this is the best time to do it when the new government is getting in place such that they are able to know exactly where do you place resources, which counties needs to be intervened on, what is it that we are supposed to do such that the country moves forward, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Gakuya.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also thank you to give me this opportunity to contribute upon this allocation of revenue to our counties. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support, and I want to emphasize that, Mr. Speaker, what we need from our counties is that now that we transmitted from the former de facto local authority to the current devolved government, Mr. Speaker. Well, the reason why we devolved that system is purely to make sure that at least the service is near to the people. Mr. Speaker, I understand that, in fact, as much as we talk about the pending bill, Mr. Speaker, there is an increment of high magnitude in pending bills in our counties. And, Mr. Speaker, you realize that most of the service providers within these counties, Mr. Speaker, are our local domestic people. And, Mr. Speaker, it's very ironical to see that at least our people are totally suffering when they did supply, when they did contract with these counties, and they are unable to get their dues in good time. And you realize that most of these service providers are ending up on what we call auctions by those banks that have been led them their service money. Mr. Speaker, it will be prudent to where these resources, when they get back to the counties must differentiate that the reason why the devolution is there is to service the people. But you realize almost each and every county takes its money to recurrent expenditure, and you realize that issue to do with the development is quite minimal. Mr. Speaker, I would urge that even what we call liabilities during the transition time, you realize most of these liabilities files were kept into shelves. And, Mr. Speaker, those are services who have been delivered by Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, it's a high time that we must make sure that the counties are doing the right things in the right time. And once they get this money, they do execute and make sure that they pay those spending, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also it's a responsibility of these counties to take charge on the areas of solid waste management. And you realize, Mr. Speaker, and especially the biggest dump site in the city is purely under in my constituency, Mr. Speaker, but you realize that nothing is happening there, and it is always